Welcome to my session. So last year at GeeCON, 2 years ago, I think was the first GeeCON after break. I got the feedback, too many slides. So last year were less slides, and today will be almost no slides. So this is actually a less trajectory. I have no idea what we'll do next year, because negative slides, it never happened before. So okay, this topic is half serious. I actually submitted it once to a conference a bit smaller, not that known like GeeCON, is called javac. And it became crazy successful. It's okay, this is okay, I can show this again, but it is never the same. This is our title, the title remains, but the content are completely different. Why? This talk is based on a YouTube channel. So what I do, I record daily Java shorts, and I have already 1,000. And I pick for conference at most 100. So it is always something different, and that's the reason. Okay, you can ask me questions whenever you like. Should be loosely related to the topic, but Java is always a good question. And for every question, you get raised socks. They are actually really good, or at least a sticker if you don't like socks. So it also works as well. So, Airhex Industries. It was a joke, not joke. Someone asked me very seriously how the company Airhex is actually you're working for, and there's no company. So I immediately registered airhex.industries domain, and there is nothing. If you go there, you will only see GitHub and Twitter and LinkedIn accounts. So this is actually all. I really like Java. So I tried to use Scala and was not that right, and whatever. And I get every 2 years a question, why you're not doing this? Why are you still using Java? It will die, and you should do the other thing. And I get the question for 30 years. And now everything almost died, and Java is still strong. So this is at least my impression at the GeeCON conference, right? So, so there is a podcast, and it's also fun. And the last episode, Run Java with Java, this is loosely related to a song title. And there are also other, if you like, you can listen. And it was German, sorry. And Airhex TV, it runs for 8 years. This is the, if you have a question, you can ask me during the show or in a gist, and I will answer this live. And this show is recorded. And the cool story is I got the idea that I look 100 episodes back and re-answer briefly the old questions. And the cool story is sometimes I got the same questions again and again, and the answers are very similar. So that's interesting. This is the YouTube channel. There should be 900 or more shorts. Today you will see selection of 100. And there's Discord channel, some workshops. And this slide has nothing to do with the topic, but I always like to show it. Because I guess always the question, is Java good enough? Why you're still doing Java and not Python or not Go? And this is actually how I start nowadays a Java project, because time or performance is really money, especially in serverless cloud. The faster it executes, the less you pay. And if you check at Java, this is energy efficiency, which is, at least in Germany, I think, there's a CO2, measurements going on. And the less energy, the better. So Java is right after ADA. So I would say if you would really like to be cloud native, you should start to learn ADA right now and deliver a talk at the next conference. And C++, a little better. Rust is actually a great language, but I would say it's for business application is not that, I would say, interesting, right? To write them with Rust and C. Now, performance-wise, Java is also doing great. And if you compare it, for instance, with Python, you see the Java is 35 times faster than Python. So it means if you would develop a Python application in the cloud, and something will happen in the Python, not just calling out, so let's say a for loop or some CPU stuff, right? Then it will be 35 times slower than Java, which means you will pay 35 times more than for Java. And therefore, my story is I use Java 100% in all clouds. That's the only reason. And you can actually, the first time in the history, actually prove it to management. Where Java is not doing as great is memory consumption. GraalVM solves that, or picking a different garbage collector as well. But in the cloud, this is the longest story short, I explained it actually last year at the GeeCON, it doesn't matter for serverless, because you have to buy CPU with RAM. So what means is, in my project, we have 2 gig of RAM for Quarkus, and Quarkus consumes at most 100 megs. So we have far more RAM than we can consume. We already thought, can we cache something? But there was nothing to cache. Well, it's a pity, but I can sell you some RAM if you like. So some memory. How it happens? So how I get idea for such shorts? So this is actually a tweet, and somehow I was involved. I don't know why I saw this, but someone wrote, Babu is like his girlfriend, and let's say he apologized 1,000 times and wrote this Java code and asked, will she forgive me? And my answer was, with this code, never. Right? It is like for int, what he's doing, int x. And Python guy immediately said, okay, Python would be this. And I say, okay, but who would write such a thing, right? I say, okay, why not this? I wrote, if you would like, for forgiveness, do this, and I will apologize 1,002 times. Is better impression than 1,000, right? This was my refactoring. But this is a Java code, and we can also write a Java code. What I see in the internet is everyone finds from, I don't know, pre-Vietnam War, some Java code which is written like this, right? And they say, Java is crap, we do Python. But why I should write such a code, right? I mean, if you can write such a code. And this is not even Java 24 or whatever, it's even 5-year-olds. So I would say we are not speaking here about cutting edge. It's just, Java maybe not 15 years old, maybe only 10 years old, right? Something like this. Okay? So, and okay, I got a question. Could you also publish the short somewhere? It's exploded, and this is the GitHub account. And what you see today is a selection from the GitHub account. So in the GitHub, you will find maybe just 300 snippets, and I have 1,000. You have sometimes I commit every day a view, but committing snippets is harder than writing them, I have to admit. So, now, I think we are done. Yeah, this is Best of Java is the GitHub, and this is the shorts, and this is the workshop. There was some marketing, and now we can close the whatever it is. And now, I had some hallway conversations before, and there was Java and Python or whatever. So I would like to show you something which was not planned, because what this is Llama running on Java without external dependencies, and the entire Llama inference runs in exactly one Java source file. And now I can call on my machine, so it was loaded in 500 milliseconds to Java, and this thing doesn't talk to internet, it runs locally. So what is GeeCON? Oh, it works. So this is very slow. So this is now a local answer, like 10 tokens per second on my laptop. And this is what you get with Java for free with SIMD. You need Java 21 plus. So what means is the entire trick is LL3J. I have here this alias, Java enable preview, Java 21. This is necessary because we need the SIMD. This is the incubator. And this is Llama 3 Java. It means I didn't even compile the Java code. I run it from source. And this is the strength of Java. This is the first snippet. And this snippet is not really a snippet. You can call it maybe snippetron or something like this, because it's longer than this. They're like 2,000 lines of code, I would say. So a mid-range data transfer object, right? And why it is so big? Because it uses SIMD, because it optimizes the matrix multiplications, yeah? So, and of course, what we can do is we can ask here as well, because it's LLM, so repeat that, and Llama 3 Java. And this is on GraalVM. I got the question, what about GraalVM? On GraalVM, it runs 10% faster. And, but this is a standard Java, and on Tornado VM, it will run soon even faster. What Tornado VM is, can pick the code and run on GPU. So, what is GeeCON? Emphasize the greatness of the organizers. It's not bad, right? Okay, this was the first snippet, the largest one and pointless, but I got lots of questions now. Python and Java, I would say future of Java is bright. What I can tell you is that AWS, for instance, or Amazon, runs the entire model inference on Java, and they save 85% time, but the entire, and you can take a look at djl.ai, this is the framework, And this is stated 85% of the workloads. Official announcement runs on, they're running inference, model inference on Java, and the savings are 85%. Okay, just 8 tokens per second, but you see, I'm not. Yeah, so no hallucinations. The AI knows that the organizers are great, right? So you see the first one with Python, we get hallucinations. The organizers are not from this planet or whatever. With Java, you get correct answer. So now back to code. First one is this one, main interface. This is the most questionable. People cannot stand that I use interfaces with main methods. And to make it even worse, sometimes I showed it's even possible to have main methods in enums. Then it exploded. It's like, you are crazy. How I can do this? I just did it for fun. But of course, you can run this. You can run this. This is 2. You see, it will be better. It's just the very first one. So hello, Duke. And you don't have compiled Java code. What is the Jav? The Jav is just Java, but on Mac, if I do Java, I don't get really code completion, only remembers the old one. With Jav, I get code completion. This is the only hack I do this. I don't have to compile it. I run it from source code, which is recent feature, but you can run you can also run with source code with multiple files. It doesn't have to be one, and you can also have a class path, which I'll show you later. So this is the first one. People don't like it, but I like it. Why? Because it's shorter. It doesn't have to be public here, and I think human-machine interface is a good thing for main methods. Timer, the next one. If you would like to have a timer, so what you can do, timer, schedule at fixed rate, task 0 to start now, every second. And so let's do the timer. This was 04, and we have the timer, and it looks like that. Then next, file watch. So what FileWatch is doing, actually I used the FileWatch yesterday to find interesting snippets. So the FileWatch is the number 06. So if I run the FileWatch, nothing happens. But if I create a file, GeeCON, then you see GeeCON. So it will find. So you can use it for auto deployment. So this is the beginning of event-driven architectures, right? Imagine a folder, you copy a file, event happens, and you can do something with it. Similarly, file diff. You can have 2 paths, mismatch first, second, and it will show you the first different byte. Unfortunately, I had no time to find almost similar snippets, so there will be the first byte, which is different. So Jav 07, and it says the first byte is different, so it means you have 2 files, and it will show you up where the difference starts. I will use this, for instance, to find similar shorts. So it is built in. Oh, by the way, everything is built in, no external dependencies, no Maven, no Gradle, nothing, right? So copy to clipboard. I use it all the time for automation. So 008, this is what I can do is, it just copies now from Java with nanotime to my system clipboard. And now it is in the clipboard. So, and of course, it is possible to do it in reverse. Is the next one is 09. So if I do this with 08. And you can, of course, stop me at any time and ask questions. Maybe not stop me, but you can ask questions. So from clipboard, you see. Why is this useful? What I do, code automation, whatever, I copy something from the website and copy it, and Java does something in the background. Read from console. System.console, also useful actually for all automations. If you have read from console, ask me, GeeCON is great. If I do this, echo GeeCON is great, all right? Now, the harder one. So I have here custom JVM, and unfortunately I have to compile first time. Java C, this is 12, exactly. Now I can ask with JDAPS as 12 class, and I say, okay, you see, this class only depends on Java base, and now I can pick this and say, okay, I create now with base a JVM called GeeCON. And if I, oh, it already exists. This was the file which I created. This was the small file here, okay. So do it. So what I get now, I get a lean JVM, which only one base module, Java minus version. And this is my old private OpenJDK 21 based on Corretto, but with only one module. If you run locally on private clouds, could be interesting, right? System out in color. So this is now a little bit multimedia. So like this. If you have CLI logging or something perfectly, so it switches, for instance, between warnings, errors, and so forth. Now, built-in locker. This is why my Christmas were nicer than yours a few years ago, I guess, because there were no problems with Log4j. So I used system logger forever. The cool story is it stops unnecessary conversations because the system logger is a facade and uses Java util-logger behind the scenes, so problem solved. And you don't need any external dependencies, and is good enough for most projects. And for me, the logging becomes less and less important because we have log aggregators. So actually, some serverless project we even use system out println to logging because there is no chance that two threads will hit the method println. So auto-closable, you can have your own. So we did it as a hack in our project. So there was a class with implemented auto-closable, which means you can use this class, of course, and try with resources. So if I will run this, and at least a question would be cool, right? So closing, you see, is also working. Static initializer. So you can have multiple static initializers. And yeah, this is using less, but the Java I have to use, otherwise I don't have completion, and they are just executed. This is crazy, right? So I have two constructors, and I have such a thing, so code block, and the question is what happens now? And let's try this. And you see the code is shared, so it is attached to every constructor, which is, I wouldn't do this in production. So I forgot to mention, right? This is not like everything is a best practice. It's just, idea, lean code, interesting, curiosity, whatever, right? But this is useful. This is maybe one of the most useful. Duke is not nice. So, and if you write such a thing, is usually not allowed at GeeCON conferences. So, and therefore, if I do this, you see it resets the terminal. This is perfect for CLI because this is actually has nothing to do with Java. It just, but if you know this escape, it just resets the terminal. You have a clean stuff for the next output. Extremely useful. Compact number format. Extremely useful for performance measurements. So JAV 022, compact number format, 10K. So instead of this, you get 10K, millions or whatever, super cool. You don't have to write your own formatter, your compact number instance, and so forth, right? Underscore numbers, you can have them, project coin, old stuff, underused, just use them, increases the readability. Functional interface, got the question, why we need that? And the answer is we don't need it at all. It's just a help. If you use this, the compiler will check that there is really only one. Otherwise, you get an error. And I think this is one of the view annotations which have actual behavior because the compiler reacts to the annotations. All the others are just metadata, but this one does something out of the box. Okay, you don't have to use it. If you use it, you have functional interfaces. And why functional interfaces are cool? Because you can associate them with runnables, functions, whatever. You can create easy lambdas, right? Object preconditions. Objects require non-null. Non-null is pretty, I think is better than, or better, more readable and shorter than if-else statements. And it's standardized, and this is the enterprise version, right, with error, where the error comes from another method. So if this happens, please generate the error on the fly with this method. So if I run it, then you will see, please, this is the error. Formatted, pretty cool, especially with multi-line strings. what's the use in production for testing? So if we have JSON to test, it's actually cool, copy and paste JSON. Then we can have placeholders, and with the placeholders we can generate JSON on the fly. And for production, not that good idea. I have to be more careful because, by the way, my entire blog is generated right like this. Yeah, now you know it. And I waited for string templates, but they didn't came. So okay, now I have to do something about that and use that. But actually, not that. Rather than this. This is more usable. This is a string templates with positional parameters. Means they are reusable. What it means is, this is the first parameter. This is the second, right? So it means I can use the first Duke here and here, which is not possible with the formatted. So and now we have almost a true template, right? So if I run this, you will see Duke in two places. So goodbye Duke. So this Duke is reused here on here, and this is with the positional parameter. Okay? Temp folder, very useful. If I do this, it will create on-the-fly temp folder. It's like you ask why it is helpful. Is because for testing, sometimes we generate files, so we generated the files in temp folder and forget about them, and after the test, yeah, it is deleted or not, we don't care, but the test is either important or repeatable. Create the directories, even more useful. With that, it will create the entire directory path. Not without that, it will create the first directory and then stop. So create directories is equivalent to make the -p, so it generates the entire hierarchy, which is especially interesting for installation procedures. If you do something with Java infrastructure as code, you can prepare the entire thing. Capitalize. I need it often than you think, so I have to do all the time, from camel case, kebab case to the other cases. I would say, even on AWS right now, there are different conventions between logical IDs and how it's called, not CloudFront, CloudFormation namespaces. So there's constant conversion between all the things. And to uppercase is character, to uppercase, character add, and it starts with 1. That's all. So this is first. So if you do this, it was 33. So we get a big Duke from a small one, right? Okay. Also super interesting. So this string doesn't have to come, from multi-line string. It could be file, but there is one single method called lines, which converts the string into stream of strings. So basically, the conversion is done, and now it's fun because we can search, we can map to uppercase, to lowercase, whatever. So and the most asked question is, wow, I don't have this is what Java do you running? This is preview, and all these snippets so far, I think exception of 2, are on Java 21. So this is Java 21, and for 2 snippets I will have to switch to Java 22. And on Java 24 gatherers, I don't know whether it's here, but there are also some gatherer snippets. File copy. So that's all. So how hard is it Java? What I saw, we should record another short with the what you remember this? Input stream and count the characters with not -1, copy it over to the other one, and then decide buffered or not buffered, or use this and you are done. Maybe Python's a bit shorter or whatever, but I don't care. I don't counting characters. One-liner is one-liner. And this off is a path, so we can argue, wouldn't a string be great? But with the path, we get additional syntax checks, which we won't get with strings. So it's good or bad. And path also comes with additional methods. I would say I would prefer strings maybe, but this is how it is. Yeah. This is an array. This args, and I would like to convert the array to a stream. And there is a cool method, a very useful method, stream off. And if you pass array, it converts on the fly from an array a stream. And now I can, for instance, this is Java 38. We're actually good in time. And say Duke and LLM and snake. So if we do this is Duke, LLM, and snake. It converted on the fly my arguments with a stream. Okay? Endless streams, also useful if you would like to generate, I don't know, prime numbers, for instance, random UIDs, stuff like that. So there is a stream generate, and it will stop at 100. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on time here. So, but so that's all. So you can have endless streams. It works. Oh, this is the oldest hack. No kidding. I think it was JDK 1.1. I started with it because in a project they use system out println for logging, and I would like to redirect this to a file, and this is basically it. So what it is a log file, and what I can do is system set out, and I can redirect the entire project to a file, and you will see hello Duke in the file hopefully. This is 040, and now we have the file somewhere. I already saw this cat log file, and hello Duke is in the file. So this was 40. Oh, this was also fun. So this is JSON Web Token. And I would like to decode it with plain Java. How to do this? Stream of parts. I only can decode the first two because the other one is the key. And I can use base 64 decoder and then decode, create to string new creates a new string with the byte array, converts automatically to UTF-8. And then I join it together with comma. And if I run the code, if I run the code 043, you see the, I forgot to drink actually. So excited I'm about Java. Okay, I got a question here. Why I'm doing this and not using the website is much easier. So yeah, because sometimes this comes in the logs. And what I can do, before I log it, I can automatically decode it, for instance, and decide whether I should log or not, PIDs or whatever. But I would say a nice touch. Peek. Maybe this is the most useful. This is somehow not known. You must not use it in production because it's not given that peek is always executed. But for debugging is great. What it does is I can look at this point in time inside a stream and then afterwards and see the difference, for instance, right? So if I do the 45, you see B and B. So this is the content of the first. Of the first is the B, and the decorated B is the second. But the list has no output. It's just peaks. Okay? Peak. Crazy question. So what this is, what is invalid or what is valid? And why the question is crazy? Because I got it. I am Sun certified Java programmer in 1997, I think, or 6. And this is one of the questions. And I think I failed this because of that. And what is valid or invalid? Who knows? Java programmers here in the room or what? Everything is valid. This is the crazy part. And I felt really, really bad. But what turned out is there was a Sun trainer at the time, and he told me he tried the certification 14 times, but never succeeded. So I got in Dennis school actually. So, but the next one I succeeded, but I know exactly now how array syntax is working in Java from then. So now useful again, this one. So it shows that 2 is 3 times within the list. So frequency, how often something is in the list. Very old, very useful.
Can I pass function there?
Don't think so, because it's too old. This is 1.5. So this is very old Java, and back these functions came in JDK 1.8. But would be a cool idea, very good. You see, the organizers, how committed they are. So LLMs were very, perfect. Attendees are sleeping and organizers are listening and asking questions. So this is very good. So this is a little, now we can do whatever we like. So what I did is I created a Java record inline, duplicate with number and frequency. And this record decides is it duplicate or not. And what happens here, I have the numbers, stream, map. So, okay, I'm creating here a record and the frequency. And then I say, ask the record, are you duplicate this thing to list. So if I run this, I get nice as, okay, the number 1 is twice, number 2 is twice, and so forth. So it's almost like a data lake solution, right? So very useful, and you see nothing, right? It's Java record. And by the way, what I like to do is I use Java record a lot inside instead of a pair, something like a custom pair, tuple, tuple or pair. Stream concat. I got excellent question in the last conference. Actually, this is what I also shown already from an attendee, because I said, okay, what happens if one of the streams is endless? And I recorded another short. It's now on LinkedIn because I promised I will record it next day and publish it. And the answer is boring. If for instance the first one is endless, you will never get the result or the result will be just the first stream because it will never merge with the second. So this is the long story short. But this is actually, I use it a lot. And why? Because I have something like a default configuration and would like to merge it, with custom configuration. And usually you get a stream of enum, stream of something, pairs or whatever, and this is concat. Flat map, I have another better example maybe, but what happens here, if I get here a string, I get a stream with the prefixes here, so I get stream of strings, and what it demonstrates is how flat map is working, and what flat map does, it eliminates the stream, the collection, so it flattens. It means instead having list, or stream, it removes or it reads all the elements and pushes them to the one list. So you get a flattened list, what everyone expects, right? So this is an example of flat map. On the flat map expects a stream. So what happens here? We will see a combination, hey, then Java Duke, hi, Java Duke. And if we will run it, this 055, then you see, hey, Java Duke and hi, Java Duke. But if I would do the map here and rerun it, you get 2 streams, right? So this is what you don't like to have. This is crazier and lesser known, I think. It's called map multi. And what it does is, I have a method here, and I pass the element and a consumer. It means what I can do is I can generate from one element as many elements I like. I push the elements to the map. You know what I mean? So you give me your bank account, I transfer as much money as you like, for instance, right? So it would be a bank account, billionaire, for instance, right? So it just pushes to the stream. So it means hello Java, Duke Java. So I have here, I would say, a list candidate, and here a list candidate. And if you run it, you see it created a list because it split this, and we have one single list. Map multi, super useful, ships with Java. Cool, right? Right? Yeah, okay. So everyone will, cry and some, emotional reactions. So future state. So futures have state. I don't know why I wrote that much code. So maybe it was late already. But a fact is, I know why. Because I wanted to show you running and success. This success is why I have to sleep. So so what means is, if you have future, they got a state enum, and with the state enum, you see the state of the future right now. Okay, HTTP client we introduced with Java 11, super great. So it's always the same approach. You create the requests first and then pass them to the client. At the beginning, I couldn't remember that. I say, okay, this is really hard to get. I always wanted to do something with the client, but it's always the same scheme. You create a request first and pass the request to the HTTP client, and here is send async. And send async is a bit strange, because it works differently. I say send async, and I'm only interested in the body, and here's the request. But if you're done, then extract the body, and then push it to onFetch, and you will see the result here. So this can be any method you like. And of course, it hits my podcast website, which will probably break, but we will try. This is will not break. This was just a joke. So, and here's the website. Fast internet here. So, okay, some magic. Very old code. Event handler, built-in AOP. Look at this. Event handler create. What I would like to have is, I would like to create a runnable of my class, and the class is magical bean event handler, and app. What I pass is the instance, and what I say is I only interested about this, notify Duke. So notify Duke is what should be wrapped, and if I run the code, you see run was called. It means this method was called because I called runnable run. So this was introduced for Swing AWT, still valid code, piece of AOP hidden in Java. Yeah, 3 lines. A little bit more useful, switch with records. So what happens here? I have a method dispatch which accepts an object, and I pass a def, and this is a record, and a Duke, which is a string. And the cool story is I can say here I switch case def, and then I'm able to deconstruct or destructure the record, and I can access the variables here. In case it's a string, I have the string variable without casting. If this is something different, then I don't know what to do. So let's run this. Now, again, I will have to delete the Java from my machine for this session. Who said yes? No Zox. So we have Duke 12. This is this one, and Duke was this one. So a little bit more interesting, def and runtime, and the developer has a runtime. So we have def is Duke, and the runtime is the runtime of Duke, I guess, is age and Duke's weight. So the Duke is 20, of course, young and dynamic and very lean. So, and what I do here is I can say case def. What we can do is I can extract the name, the age, and weight here from the nested records. So this is nothing new, I would say, but still interesting. It's a touch of JavaScript, maybe. And case string message is message. So let's run the code 062, and it's also working. Okay, this was also interesting. So people say you cannot write this. You have to write public, final, static, and whatever. And the truth is no. What this code just, if we would run it, you will see that this and this is identical. It means if you have an interface, just write int message and string message or whatever, and you get the final and whatever is added behind the scenes for you. Clipboard Washer is one of the shortest open source project on my GitHub account. What it does is it reads the clipboard, removes all the styling, and writes it back. I use it all the time to copy over things, and that's basically all. So this is the entire code. This is just the, I just merged two snippets together, so I don't like to run it right now. And parse versus value of, this is interesting. So what's the difference? Because they behave almost the same. There's a question in the comments. So parse returns the primitive, and value of returns the boolean, the wrapper type, the box type. List last element. So what list are sequence collections? There's get last and get first. We have them, so we can just use them. Block. That's interesting. In Java, you can just write such a thing, a block, wherever you like. So there is nothing, it's just a block. So, and what it demonstrates is if I declare the message variable here, block scope is not visible outside. It's just, I never write such a code. I wrote such a code. You know when? If there were no factories of hash map and list, you could have with blocks inside the constructors. You can add on the fly new elements, but right now is less appealing, but it's good to know. Very useful. So what it does is show you Jav 70 already. So you see it adds the leading 0 for formatting, which is really nice. So if you have to print something on the screen, leading 0 is this also old, nothing new, but widely underused. What's also interesting is I'm using here map. So this is int stream, starts with 0 to 10. Map to object means convert the int to an object, and this string uses formatted, and this int, this integer is passed here, and therefore we have one-liner. By the way, there are 3 lines, but because I like the formatting better, but it could be 1. It's actually one-liner. Okay? Okay, this is less funny, because this is why my blog stopped several times, and this was, don't tell it anybody, but it's my fault. And the problem was, file list, it returns a stream, but you have to close the stream. So what means is, sometimes you have to close the streams. It's not common, but streams are auto-closable. And what I got is, I didn't got the memory leak. What I got is, I ran out of file descriptors. And I didn't know why. It's like, why? I have nothing. No dependencies, just Java, and still, everything stops. And this was the problem. And how I found the problem is, there is an MX bean. I recorded a shot with this about that MX bean, and with the MX bean you can check the max number of open file descriptors and the current number of open file descriptors. I exposed that as a health check, and then I was able to run some tests with it. Okay, optionals are great. But from my perspective, you should use the optionals. What I saw in projects sometimes, they return optionals and then they call if present or not present. So okay, then is only a small added value of the entire thing. I like to use the optionals as a stream. You can map, filter them, and they feel like a single slotted stream. And what happens here? So this is a little bit crazy, but I wanted to show how it's actually. So this first returns the optional for message, there's an input, and I can chain them together. And what happens with flat map and optionals, basically the optional is removed. So this happens. So what I get, a single value, and not like optional, I just get the actual value. So if I run the code, this is 72, then you will see last second first Duke. I don't know what it means, but looks correct. And so if I would, let's say here, say empty, and rerun the code. So there's empty, nothing, right? So, and okay, now, perfect. So 2 lists and 2 implementations. So why? So list of 1 and 2, implementation is different than list of 1, 2, and 3. Interesting, right? Why? Because of performance. So I don't know whether the Sun started with it, at least in Oracle and OpenJDK, engineers spend a lot of time of optimization, and there are different factories used depending how big how many elements you pass there. Working directory. So this is a hack. You use it all the time. Pass of nothing to absolute path, and you get your working directory. Console, yes or no. So so sometimes you say, okay, should I delete your hard disk, right? And if you ask this, at least you should give an option to say no. And this is console read line equals ignore case this, and you get exactly that. So Jav 076, and I say yes, confirmed, and no, nothing, right? So is lowercase very helpful in my case if I check this character is lowercase, and if you ask character knows lower or uppercase. So this is interesting. I have the string 42, and I will convert it to an integer. I can do such a thing, transform integer parse int, and now I have the int. Okay. So now Java developers are younger, so they are more excited about such a things. So I'll show you this. Now they become active, right? So what I can do with this code, so I'm not only printing the emojis, also the name of the emojis. So I could write my GeeCON from command line, right, and say safety vest, and I will get this. So if you are an influencer, right, you absolutely need to know this code. So that's all, 27 lines of code, and it will boost your YouTube channel. So string to CSV. So Mr. Duke, Java 1 Avenue. So if you do this, it will create Pullman's CSV, sorry. And local datetime, you can now format. You can use datetime formatter of pattern. You can specify your own pattern, which is really convenient because the patterns are not always the built-in patterns. So you get something like this, or whatever you like, simple. I got trouble with this because I built a logger with an enum, that's all. And it works actually pretty well, and I use it in production. Log info, log error out, and that's all. And you can specify the color, whatever, and if I run the code, so this is Hello Duke, and this is Danger, for instance. So I can have multiple log levels mapped to different colors. So it's the next thing, which looks crazy, very useful. I would like to have the variable, the value of the Java home. And what happens here? String, transform, and I transform it to the value. So if I run the code, this is 90. So I get my Java home. So this is actually, I had to search because what I would like to do here, this is multi-line, but I would actually have to a single line, right? So what I would like to have is I would like to break down a longer text into a single line. And what I did here, this coffee baby and baby coffee should be a single line because I'm converting this back using hex format to parse this. And if there would be 2 lines, it wouldn't work. So this is actually a test. So if I run the code, I get a value. If I get a value, looks good. Binary operator, that's interesting. So binary operator, what is an operator? An operator is a specialization of bifunction. And why it is useful? Because it's simpler. So what's the main difference between binary operator and bifunction? The bifunction, you will have to specify the type of all the parameters. And binary operator, I can say integer, and everything is integer. And bifunction would be 2 parameters, okay? So binary operator is just a simpler or more opinionated bifunction. So I would say in most cases, you probably, binary operator is more appealing for you. So 2 minutes to go. If this is serious, I don't know, I have to ask the organizers. I have here a list of lists. So this is list of, and what I would like to do is to flat map this into a single list. This is a better example than the one before. So if I run this, so you get a single list because it flattens all the lists to a single one. Is assignable from. So this is a Duke, and I would like to have a class of the Duke. And now I have the problem because this is a class, and this is a class, and class is an instance of a class. So because I got a question, what is the purpose of is assignable from? So okay, but is def assignable from string class? Very useful if you are using reflection or play with classes, because you couldn't use it here. Instance of is one of the cases where you can check that the class is assignable from another class, because a class is always instance of another class, right? This is, I got the best comment ever, so for that. So what this is Java class. This is a custom class loader. This is base64 encoded Java class. And I load the class here, define the class, find class, this is obviously the class Duke, and then instantiate a class, and you see here the superhero, right? And I got the comment, as I remember, I'm crazy. I will never use such a thing in production. I don't even know where to put it in my CI/CD environment. And I say, okay, this is just, a nice thing, because everyone says everything in Java is now bloated, complicated, whatever. And we have 20 lines of code, and we instantiated a class from a base64 encoded string. Okay, similar to is assignable from is the cast. So what I have here, an instance class, Java util date, get declare as a new instance, and with date class cast, I get here the proper type. So this is a date, right? So with the cast, it creates a from an object a date with the cast. So sometimes you have to do it to make SonarQube happy, right? Otherwise you get lots of warnings. So this is also a minimalistic logger. So we already had that, but with templates, a little bit more evolved version. And behavioral enums, what it does is I have here repositories, for instance here GitHub and so forth. What can I say? Repositories, BCE design commits, and it will, for instance, create the URI from the constants. And I implement a lot of infrastructure as code for the clouds with Java, and this is perfect because the enums are accounts or whatever, and they can have methods, and there are lots of account numbers, repositories, whatever, and then they can have additional behavior, which works great. So no problem so far. Map of entries is great. The problem is you can only have 10 parameters, right? Map of is great. With map of entries, no such limitation. And what I can do is I can create entry, and yeah. So I see here the end. How hard is the end organizer? Okay. So then the next one, open in a browser. So I have a website and I would like to open it in a browser. Jav, and this is 0102, and it should open the browser, and it does. Also helpful if you have, I don't know, you run such a thing that would like to test, open the browser, and here we go, right? HTML list, a little bit boring. I would like to have write, compile, test, and delete, create an HTML list with the same trick as before, map, formatted. You get it. So this is a bit boring, but we got additional time, so I can show you now everything. So it looks like this. Days to vacations, most important. So vacations calculator. So okay, let's assume they are next March, and if I run the code, this is 105. Days to vacations are minus 50. But because it's in the past, yeah, this is right. So old snippet. So now we are 300. No? Okay. So exactly, this was a mistake. Oh, this is interesting. Day of week. So we have the first day plus 2, right? So we can calculate with calendars. Almost forgotten. I remember this was lots of excitement about this a few years ago. This is the Wednesday, this one. Monday plus 2 is Wednesday. Months of day, exactly the same. We have January. We can say month day, not Monday. Month day now is before this one. So, and it is. So first Monday of the month is very important for my case because this EHXDV comes first Monday of the month, and I was always wanted, to calculate this somehow, and this is the calculation. This is all, and it calculates until 2027. So if I run this first month of the month, they have all the first Monday of the month, so you know the next EHXDV. So this is also basically only this. Temporal query. So you can have queries with dates, and what I'm querying, query is more like extraction. I say this is temporal query, and I'm only interested in year. So if I run the code, I get 42, so it extracted the year, and I don't get the month and also not the date. Okay, this is what it just says that ifs and switches have different behavior regarding NPEs. So if null pointer exceptions, so if I run this Java, of course, so I'm spoiled. So this creates null pointer because I'm using a switch. But if I would use the same in int, interesting, in if, then nothing happens. But the cool story is in Java 24, I think, or 22, there's case null in switches, which will solve the problem. You only have to know it. Because this burned me, actually. So I refactored code from if case to switch case, and NPE happened. It's like, why that? And now you know why. Very useful. Infrastructure as code, especially sizes, different image sizes, virtual machine sizes, whatever. Small is 1, medium 2, large 3, and so forth. And usually you will need a map end of the day. And what it does is it converts an enum into a hash map. And you can pass it to the cloud. It's like, okay, this is my configuration. So, and this is, and this looks like this as a hash map. So there are two possibilities to convert from an array to a stream. You can ask stream off, we had it, or arrays stream. And this is a little bit faster because it gives you primitives. And this one is slower but more flexible, but it gives you back the box types. Usually, no one cares about that, but if you have a high performance application, it could be better. I see the interests are a little bit decreasing. So I'm just take a look. Oh, then some cooler stuff. Maybe, and of course you should ask questions. Otherwise, I will have to pick these socks with me, which would be problematic. Now, let's do this. You can run JShell from main method, and then we have almost on Python level now. So if we run this, I think I can do I forgot actually what I wanted. Yeah. You see? So I can have calculations. And what happens here, I'm running JShell, which ships with Java, and I say shell eval the calculation, that is the first parameter, and then I print everything out. So you can ask, who needs that? So I get a question on shorts, who needs that? And I also mentioned pre-the-show espresso. So I don't know whether you are, there is a pattern called code interpreter in LLMs. And what we actually did is, what you can do, you can ask the LLM to generate code, compile it on the fly, and then you can run it, for instance, like this, as test, or you can run it in Espresso safely. So what you get is, LLM generates code for you in Java. You can check whether the code is okay with unit or whatever, and then run it dynamically in Espresso or as in JShell. This is just one example. This, what this does, JShell create, and it evals this method. So I can run Java as a script, sometimes called JavaScript. So you see, hey Duke, from string. And of course, the shorts, there are some other shorts where we loaded classes from outside as plugin and stuff like that. More useful, I have a Zulu and would like to add the zone, is like the Berlin. So what I do, instance parse add zone, and I can switch between zones. I used it in Corona time, because I say, okay, this is the date, what is the other zone? So you can have with this trick, read, the time and print all the zones you are interested in, so a small calendar. And this is crazy. This replaces GNI. What this is, but for that, I will need a Java 24. And now I can run, this is Jav, exactly, Jav S023, get hostname, Duke. So what it does is, I say, I would like to have a native linker. It uses the FFM, which ships this Java 24. And I say, I would like to use the standard C library here. And the method, you have to look it up, but it's get hostname. This is C method. And I copy this over from the C documentation, a struct. This is int, address, and long, whatever, I just copied it over. And then I'm calling this here. So what this means is I called a standard library on Mac without any GNI craziness. And this is very useful if you would like to call, how to call it, PyTorch or whatever, LLMs or C code or whatever you need. You have a really nice interaction with native code. So there is a double with none. He said, it's okay, I can go for forever. So I only listened to Lucas, actually, who was nice. He asked a question. If you ask a question, I will stop. Otherwise, I go forever. So, just kidding.
There are questions on Slido.
Ah, I forgot to open this Slido thing. So, number is not smaller than 0. It's also not bigger than 0. And it is also not 0. It is also not 0, only not 0. You saw such a thing? None, right? Interesting that we have such a thing. And this is standard. OK. Math clamp, maybe the last time, because they get really nervous, everyone. So, now 2. Two things. This is DuckDB. You can, what is DuckDB? It's a very popular analytical database, not that in Java, but everyone else. And what you can do is you can create it on the fly with the JDBC driver, load, for instance, JSON data, select the JSON data, and push it out, for instance. And I did this here. What I did here, I said, I have here, hopefully, all my podcasts as index JSON. So this is everything. You have static generator which generates that. And I say, OK, hey, DuckDB, load this into memory in Java, and then give me the first parameter, which happens to be the title. And if I run this, Java, I should get all the titles from the podcast. This is 0272. And, no suitable driver. This is true. Minus CP. Duck. And they all the. So what I could do, I can read from JSON, write to Markdown, to JDBC, whatever. So it's nicely integrated, only one file. And this is the very days to the next GeeCON. So I hope this is May the 13th next year. And with that, this was the official last short. 2026. This is agile. So there's 365 days minus 1. So just to the next GeeCON. Questions? Oh, Slido. How to get the Slido? Yeah, we have no time. This is why I not installed the Slido. So thank you a lot and see you next year.